Please welcome Brigadier General Paul Fredenberg, Executive Vice President, AFCEA International.
All right, how about that for some walk-up music? Get you guys back into the right frame of mind for our afternoon session. So good afternoon, welcome back to the main stage. Hope everyone had a chance to get some lunch and to enjoy some good networking during the new lunch format. So I would also ask that you please give us feedback on the event. After the TechNet, please fill out the survey and tell us what we're doing right and where we need to improve. We're a learning organization and we want to make this event as good as possible for all of you. So I also want to say thank you to all of our industry partners out there, because without our industry partners, events like these just would not happen. And so I'm pleased to recognize 4 Inc. and IBM as the sponsoring partners for this session. And they are represented here today, I don't know if he's here, but by Chad Morgan, IBM Senior Account Manager. So thank you very much for your sponsorship. Now, we started off this morning very strong with General Hawk, and we're going to keep the momentum going with this afternoon's keynote presentation, a fireside chat with Ms. Leslie Beavers, the Principal Deputy DoD Chief Information Officer, which will be led by AFCEA's CEO, Lieutenant General retired Susan Lawrence. Now, Ms. Beavers began her DoD career as an intelligence officer in the United States Air Force, serving in various roles before retiring as a Reserve Brigadier General, serving with the J2 staff. Prior to joining the CIO, Ms. Beavers served as the Director of Intelligence, Surveillance, and Reconnaissance Enterprise Capabilities. In this capacity, she led the Defense Intelligence Digital Transformation Campaign Plan, known as Project Herald. She's a career member of the Senior Executive Service and has been the DoD Principal Deputy CIO since May of last year. Lieutenant General retired Susan Lawrence enlisted in the United States Army and later completed Officer Candidate School and rose to the rank of Lieutenant General, retiring as the Army's CIO G6. Now, after a couple of tours with industry, she became AFCEA's President and CEO in 2022. So I'd welcome both Susan and Ms. Beavers to the stage.
Yes, the first time I was welcomed on the stage, it was crickets. And so I said, no more crickets, we have to have transition music here. So
I particularly liked that, and I was particularly grateful that I didn't eat it on the way up, because that was a distinct possibility.
Well, ma'am, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a little bit of a turbulent time there in the DoD CIO office. We're very sad to see Honorable Sherman leave, but ecstatic that he's going to be the dean at the Bush School, because AFCEA is all about government, industry, and academia. So hopefully we'll keep him engaged.
Yeah, he's been an absolute inspiration to me, and I am so grateful for the time that I had with him, and very, very proud of him getting a dream job like that.
That's right, and getting to go home. So first, I want to thank you for your service in uniform, all the amazing assignments that you had, but I always have to look at our teammates that then choose to stay on the government team, which you did as a senior executive. And so I just want to start by saying thank you for your service.
Well, you're welcome. It's a real thrill to get to serve with the folks in the United States military. And I did a couple of stints out in industry, which I really enjoyed, and the commitment from our industry partners is equally important.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, I enjoyed reading your pledges of 4 focus areas for 2024, and so we've designed some questions around those, and so let's just jump in. I know they want to hear from you on
Okay.
what's going on. So the Joint Warfighting Cloud capability has been a reality for almost a year and a half now, thankfully. This is a critical program for the department. What's the current state of play, and where are you going next with this program?
Yeah, no, I just hats off to the DISA team and the CIO team that made that happen. It's been a critical enabler for the department and for our services, and we're growing the number of folks that can use it. We have over $780 million against it now and over 63 task orders. And we're starting to think about what next. We've got a lot of learnings that came from just making this happen, and we were able to use it for one of our kind of a little fun fact thing is DISA's Doggle pages. If folks are familiar with those are the authentication pages with the dog with the goggles on, and because of the JWCC construct, we were able to really quickly get some authentication work ordered that kept that going without a large disruption. So the speed that we get out of being able to order off of that vehicle is really important. We do have a lot to learn, and we're going to use that as a model going forward, but we're going to be also moving in a direction to increase the number of people that can leverage it and the number of organizations that can leverage it, and then the number of uses. So another area we've expanded is to the Joint Operational Edge. We've got a couple of those out in the Pacific, and we're looking at Europe. And so it's as contracts expire, we expect the department to start leveraging this vehicle even more, and next round will be even better.
That's wonderful. We've watched it for a while, and to see it actually out there being executed and proving exactly and doing what we wanted to do with it. It's great news that you're there now.
Right. Let me add on that, because I always forget when I talk JWCC, I forget to also give a shout out to DISA for their Stratus Cloud as well, because in the cloud construct, we need both the commercial and the government cloud, and interoperability between the vendors is really important. So just thank you for indulging me and letting me foot stomp that one.
Yeah, we have General Skinner over there in our DISA team. Yes.
Oh,
so.
awesome. Go DISA.
Yeah. Okay, another topic that a lot is being talked about is zero trust, and it's in our committees in AFCEA. Our cyber committee is full of luminaries, former serving assistant secretaries and CIOs and whatnot, and they took this on and did a white paper, and I will get this to you.
Yeah.
But it was such a good paper, we asked them to do a webinar on it, and it was very well attended. But it was talking about the cultural challenges to achieving zero trust. Now, the actual title of it was Culture Eats Strategy for Breakfast. So based on that, as we look at what you're doing there on the implementation, and it's been a focus of yours, and a very strong focus, especially in 2024, can you give us a feel for how that program is going and what may be coming in the future for the program?
Yeah, of course, and culture does eat strategy for breakfast, by the way. I love the title, because really zero trust is all of us. And I heard that Randy rocked the house, filled it up a little earlier today, so really excited to hear that. We have our implementation plans from the department. Let me just give everybody the super top highlights, since most of you are probably in the Zero Trust talk. But the implementation plans came in, and we had 39 of them and about 30 folks really digging into them. They were really detailed, and that gave us the confidence that we can meet the zero trust tenets by 27, if not even a little earlier. And the approach is, what we learned from the implementation plan and the approaches is it seems to be a hybrid. So in some cases, we're trying to elevate existing technology, and in another, it's the cloud adoption that's getting us there. But the interoperability and the interconnection of the various capabilities is what gives you the zero trust. It's not having the 91 capabilities individually, it's that interaction. And when I think about zero trust, that means we're not just defending the perimeter, it's tagging the people, tagging the data, audit, audit, audit. We all have to be part of this security solution. At less than 10% of the workforce, the IT, cybersecurity professionals cannot defend the entire attack space, and we are all under threat. So I think that's where we're going. We started out with the information technology realm. We also need to get after the operational technology. So when you start to think about our critical services, such as water and power, the unique things that are associated with how do you protect the critical infrastructure. You also have to get out to the weapon systems. So it is very much a journey, and the Zero Trust team has been leading the charge. I'm just so proud of them, and looking for a lot of help from industry as well to make these capabilities that we define interoperable and give us options across the department. I think one size fits all is never a good answer. I don't know how many of you out there ride mountain bikes or road bikes, but a hybrid bike does both poorly, right? So you need some specialization, but it does also need to be interoperable. And security, we need to drive it all the way down into our small businesses, into our defense industrial bases, and even into, just commercial America in general.
Right, right. And, as I've watched it and worked it from my different positions, a lot of naysayers out there, but it's a must. It's non-negotiable. But where do you see your largest impediments today to achieving zero trust?
I think it is the mindset shift. Is when you talk about the culture change, and having the general population really recognize the threat that we face and the vulnerabilities that get exposed when your data, when your information is collected. And it's no longer difficult to aggregate large amounts of data and do massive analytics on it. So I get personally very concerned for our youth and living on the internet and leaving. So 20 years from now, the president or whatever gets. So I'm just very grateful that was not a threat when I was younger. Let me just put it right out there.
Yeah.
But so I think that's the largest impediment, and people are starting to come around. But it's. If you think back to the 60 Minutes show in November, where we had the FBI director and his counterparts from the Five Eyes nations in Silicon Valley saying, this is a threat, this is a problem, and here's why, that was unprecedented. So I'm hoping that we can, as professionals that deal with cybersecurity, help the rest of the nation start to get their head around it, and then we need to really treat data as an asset and start locking it down.
Right, right. Absolutely agree. So teammates, I've got another question I'm going to ask, and then I'm going to turn over to you to get your questions. I have many questions here to ask Leslie, but would love to hear from you as well. So let's go to Fulcrum announcement. There's a lot of interest about where the CIO may steer the enterprise in the future. So I'd like to talk a little bit about what is the CIO's next step?
Thank you. This is one of my favorite subjects. So if you think about the Department of Defense Chief Information Office, when I was a young captain, major, whatever, walking around, and if I were queen for a day kind of a thing, because my computers didn't work. I wanted to get the big challenge that I wanted to get after for the department was to have us make our IT systems, our information systems, as interoperable as we experience in our personal lives. And to that, and the idea is like you should be able to take a CAC and stick it into any computer anywhere and be able to access your account. Just because you're Air Force and you're on an Army system, you know, that would ideally be able to work. So I came to the Pentagon in 2018 to help do that within the intelligence work, and that led to Project Herald. And then as we transitioned, as Honorable Sherman asked me to come and work with him in the Chief Information Office, he wanted to make that pivot across the department as well. And with that in mind, we embarked on a journey in January. We pulled together a writing team of about 40 folks and generated what is now called Fulcrum, which is the DoD strategy for information technology advancement. So this is a community effort, and it's called Fulcrum because it sits at the nexus between our national security strategy, our strategic management plans, our really big thinking strategies, our workforce implementation strategies, our software modernization strategies, our cybersecurity strategies, and it gives you tangible steps to take to turn that strategic vision into an operational reality. And so there are 4 lines of effort. It's going to be out on the webpage later today. And it's not my vision, it's the department's vision. And it's the department's guide to help us as a community get to an interoperable, integrated digital platform, which cannot be done by anyone alone. Like the CIO can't do it alone. This is something that it's super easy read, 16 pages, tried to keep it under 10, but we've got pictures, tables, but it starts out with a high-level vision in a fairly short paragraph around what it means for the warfighter experience, for example. And then that translates into, okay, so we need mission partner environment and we need mobile apps and things like that. So it is hopefully, and I will need your help, I need everybody's help to turn that vision into reality by changing the decisions that you make every day as you're solving your own problems in the digital workspace. And I need you to prioritize this interoperability and security. And Fulcrum helps us do that. It'll be followed by an implementation plan, which will give some more information. But right now, we've got Fulcrum. It was 4 months, and it's got the deputy's signature on it. My team kept telling me it couldn't be done, and there are a couple of rock stars that made it happen. So thank you.
So Robert, she's going to give you 20 pages for the implementation.
That's right. Thanks, Robert.
Yeah. Okay, are there any questions from the audience?
Yes, ma'am. Our first question, how is the DoD enhancing interoperability among the services and our allies, particularly regarding IT systems and data sharing?
ICAM is the root of all evil.
Yeah.
That is our big effort this year. We are driving to a truly federated ICAM solution. That's the identity, credential, and access management, which is foundational to our ability to know who's on the network and trust each other and interoperate, not just within our joint forces, but within our partner nations. As a matter of fact, one of my deliverables to Honorable Sherman for this year was figuring out what are the identity attributes for the Department of Defense, what are the identity attributes required for Five Eyes, and then the big, hairy, ugly stretch goal was the NATO identity attributes, and get everybody to agree. Because really, this is a cooperation problem more than a technology problem. We just need to decide how we're going to define identity, trust each other, share that information, and start moving out. It won't be perfect, but we are driving hard on that. In the second week of July, I'm leading a group of folks department-wide again, because it's a community effort. Down in Tampa, there's been a lot of pre-work, but we're gonna figure out how to do this zero trust in a cloud with partners and machine-to-machine data speeds, and the key to that will be one of the keys to that is that identity management piece. So there's that. Then there's also a number of efforts that we lead on the CIO side to really integrate the work between the services and the service CIOs where the rubber meets the road. There's a great partnership there. And so that's one of the most fun parts of my job, actually, is getting to work with them.
That's wonderful. Yes. And I think you hit on just exactly where the challenges are, obviously, but I was the J6 of CENTCOM with 60 different countries and trying to exchange information. And it wasn't a technical problem.
Right.
It was what countries would agree to share with what countries. And so having to work through the cultural challenges again as we're working through that. So that's great to hear. Is there anything else, Terry?
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Beavers, you mentioned there is a lot to learn for JWCC. Looking ahead, how does the department define and measure success for JWCC?
Ooh, tough question. All right. I think cloud adoption is probably where I would start measuring success. More than in dollars applied, more around the number of organizations that have individual clouds adopted. As I say that, though, what's a perennial problem in the department is you can't figure out what the numerator is, because you don't know how many clouds, so you can't do it on percentage. But I think that's from a department perspective. From a user perspective and a customer perspective, it's if JWCC is the vehicle of choice to order your cloud services off of. So that's a little bit of a different perspective. And I think back to a score that's Net Promoter Score, for example, helps us understand how much our customers, or in this case our warfighters, depend on or use our services. So what's the pull that is out there within the department? And that's calculated by your number of promoters, which give the score a 9 or 10, subtracted by the number of detractors, which give the score of a 6 or below, over the total number of respondents in your survey. So that's Net Promoter Score. It's a really tough one to drive, but that would be the other way. So I'd look at it from a technical perspective and then from a user experience perspective.
Yes. Okay, anything else, sir?
We heard General Hawk talk about the DIB this morning. In that light, what steps is the DoD taking to secure its IT supply chain and mitigate vulnerabilities and potential threats?
A lot. We just released our Defense Industrial Base cybersecurity strategy, and we also updated our 32 Code of Federal Regulations to expand the number of companies that can take advantage of the DoD-provided services from about 12,000 to 80,000. So that's kind of what we're doing now. Our Defense Industrial Base is critical to our success as a country, as a society, and as a military. And there's a lot more work that does need to be done, and we do partner very closely with NSA and Cybercom to get after this. But once again, security is something that can't only be done by the professionals. It does have to be taken seriously by each and every one of us, just like we take our personal security seriously, I hope. Yeah. And we have to protect our data just like we do our money in our bank account. So going to need a lot of help from across the department, and we are maturing that effort, but it is very important to the department and to me personally.
And General Hawk received a question, and I'm going to just reframe it now from your foxhole. The CIO has been working to reduce barriers for entry for small businesses, and those small businesses generally strengthen the defense industrial base. What steps are you taking?
Well, that cybersecurity strategy is one of them. And then for small businesses, we're trying to also get after standardizing the NIST 171 and 172 accreditations and make those more attainable. So we aligned the defense cyber requirements with the NIST requirements, and we're currently in the process of going through rulemaking. So I can't say a lot about it other than I can really thank the over 1,500 people who submitted comments on our rule. And we've been adjudicating those faithfully, and there was some really good feedback. We're close to getting it over to OMB, hopefully, knock on wood. But so that's really just trying to also take the mystery out of it, out of what needs to be done. That's why the pilots around Zero Trust and figuring out how we integrate these commercial systems together and the commercial capabilities together to get to Zero Trust and really simplify and make it attainable by this, less expensive. We're just pushing really hard to understand how we can make it more accessible to more people all the time.
Right. In AFCEA, we say small business is big business because 70% of our corporate members are small businesses. And so we appreciate our working relationship with them as well.
I started my commercial world in a small business. They are the lifeblood.
That's right.
And it's hard because that's where a lot of the innovation comes from. And if you do the elaborate cybersecurity the way we've done in the past, it's cost prohibitive. So that's why really driving down the cost, simplifying, and figuring out where the Department of Defense can help standardize or help provide enterprise services that you can leverage. We're exploring all of those opportunities.
Thank you very much. That was helpful. Yes, Terry, anything else?
Yes. What initiatives are in place to both attract and retain cyber talent?
Love this question. I've just been spending the last weekend trying to get really smart on this topic because I get to be in front of Congress tomorrow discussing it. So thanks for the warm-up here. But we've just released, we've got a cyber workforce strategy and we've got a cyber implementation strategy. And within Fulcrum, actually, the workforce is LOE number 4. And it is around attracting the digital workforce. We have a number of initiatives that reach out to industry, that reach out to academia. We have scholarships, and we have I just signed a memo, so it's a one-person office, but we have established officially our academic engagement office, which is going to pull together all the efforts within the department to engage with academia and grow the talent that we need. And that extends all the way back into the K through 12 through colleges. We're also we've got the cyber accepted service, which makes gives some incentives and gives some ease in hiring to try and bring in some non-traditional talent. And so if you're interested in this question, I would highly recommend you listen to Mark Gorak. I think he's got a 2:15 or so talk about this, and he is the expert and been an amazing driver of our cyber workforce strategy, which the reason why I'm getting asked is theoretically they think we're doing something good, but we'll see what happens.
Very good, yeah. Yeah, we do appreciate Mark and his support to AFCEA. We had him speak previously for us at our events. So, yes, that's a good event.
Yeah.
You guys are good, and you've actually asked 2 of my questions, so we're on the same link here.
We are.
Terry, anything else?
Yes, ma'am. We have one more. how is the DoD integrating emerging technologies like AI, ML, and quantum computing into its operations?
CIO is partnering really closely with the Chief Data and Artificial Intelligence Office, which runs as many of you know, the guide exercises and a number of other experimentation efforts to leverage the artificial intelligence. We're also working with R&E on some of their innovative work and assisting the innovation unit, the Defense Innovation Unit team. Our role within this space is to do the pick and shovel work to enable the access to the data and the integration, and they get to do the flashy tools piece. But so that's kind of at the overall department level. What I think we're looking at within our cybersecurity division in particular is how do we incorporate some of those tools into our insider threat or user activity, or just to elevate our ability to accomplish our cybersecurity mission without having to add more people. So how do we do it more efficiently, more effectively? So that's what jumps to mind. I'm sure there are many other uses that I am unaware of, and you could probably answer the question better than I could out there, because I'm a bit of a dinosaur snaggletooth up here.
Thank you very much. So I again was reading your focus areas. Redundant communications plan. You mentioned the importance of edge computing and cloud connectivity to the forward edge of a crisis area that is highly dependent on a robust and interoperable comms network that works as well in the Middle East as it does in the Indo-Pacific. Right. How is the department going to make that happen?
Right, we are getting after redundancy and options. So when you think about being in a denied, degraded, intermittent or latent area, you need options. And so 5G is one of those options. There's a lot of future in the PLEO and in the SATCOM piece. We've built in resiliency within our terrestrial architecture to give folks that are out on the edges much better comms options than they've had in the past. So those are our biggest efforts. And then, of course, the Joint Operational Edge Cloud under JWCC is part of that effort to put compute out closer to the edge, which then enables the AI tools and things for the warfighter. So that's our big push within the department, and we are very, and by the way, in the PLEO space, we are very pleased with our partnerships with a number of the companies, because it's not just military comms. So you've got military SATCOM and you've got commercial SATCOM. Where we really need to do some more work is on the terrestrial layer of those SATCOMs. So you should see some effort in that direction to get our infrastructure built out and create more of a mesh, give the warfighter options wherever they are.
Right. On your business systems optimization, your line of effort 2 talks about the importance of the business systems and the challenges of transforming them into enterprise systems. Can you give us some thoughts on having
another
worked
one of my
myself
favorite
personally?
topics.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the department, we're really good at turning things on. We have a little bit of a challenge at turning them off. So we have some IT systems that, like, we're down to, there's 2 programmers left that know the language. So with that in mind, we have led an effort to do some rationalization of our business systems to understand where they are on our modernization journey and what systems they're connected to. Do we need to modernize them? Do we need to shut them down? Do we need to change them? What do we need to do? And so that is being run through the Defense Business Board, chaired by the CIO, and we're making great strides there. We're going to turn off a few more systems this year than we did last year, help the modernization effort. Where I can use help from the department is it's easier said than done. I can't tell you how many briefings I sit in and people will get up and they'll talk about integrating 4 or 5 legacy systems, and we're just going to replace it with this brand new system that does everything, and it's going to save us money. That work is hard and it requires a lot of expertise. So please don't take on an initiative like that lightly. I'm trying to collect that expertise, and next year we'll be focusing on establishing a little bit of a lessons learned from other efforts where we've tried to combine these very important IT systems and into one IT system to rule them all. So that transition to cloud is important and will be helpful, but please don't underestimate the level of effort as you're looking at your organizations to modernize our business systems. Within the CIO, we're working once again on ICAM to get after the ICFR reporting and helping the department get to a clean audit. So there's a lot of kind of, unfortunately, it's not the fun work to do, it's the foundational work that needs to get done there. So.
That's right, that's right. As you were talking, and I think about your time in uniform, your time with industry, and I know how my Heisman was when I was CIO G6 versus when I was in industry, I obviously was not thinking right. Commercializing our IT infrastructure. We know the Air Force is working ITAS. General Fredenberg and I just returned from NATO, met with the CIO, and she's now been directed to commercialize NATO communications as we look at that, and she's really asked to meet with us on the do's and don'ts. So as you think about the balance between what industry can do in a commercial environment versus us in the military, what are your thoughts on that?
I think industry specializes and they do things really well, and we need to not be afraid to take advantage of that. But we also need to understand that we are facing a kinetic threat as well as an information threat. So there are some things that we're going to need to do as a department. And when I think about making technology decisions, there are 4 lenses that I evaluate the technology through. The first one, is it functional? Does it work for the user? The second one is it scalable? Can I get it out to not just the Joint Force, but to allies and partners? The third one is it sustainable? Is it simple enough to use, inexpensive enough to maintain, that I can have it out on an edge and still use it? And the fourth one, is it secure? Notice I didn't say that first, because if I've got security professionals in the room and I say security, they stop listening. And I need them to do all 4. And not everything needs to do all 4 at the same level. There are some times where security is paramount. There are other times when functionality may be paramount, or the sustainability. But those are what each and every one of us, as we're buying capabilities, we need to think about it. How does it fit together? Make it interoperable. That's part of that functionality piece. And then balancing those other requirements, because we have to come together as a community and embrace modular, embrace government and commercial integration. And I think integrating is where the commercial world can help us. The government as an integrator is always a challenge. We do it more than I think I would like us to personally, but I'm just one person, so we'll see what happens there. But I think that partnership with industry is critical, and I think taking advantage of what industry brings is very important, but then also realizing that we have to Our requirements are a little bit unique, but I wouldn't say they're 100% unique.
Yeah, that's right.
There's kind of the 80-20 rule, it's that old rule of thumb or whatever, where about 80% is going to be common between any group, and then 20% is where we would see the differences, just as a kind of rough starting spot.
Right, right. Well, ma'am, we have a few minutes left. Any other message to our audience from where you sit?
Just thank you so much for showing up today. Thank you for all the hard work that you do for our nation. And please take a look at Fulcrum. I think everyone in here will find something that they can do a little bit differently to help move the department toward that interconnected mesh. We talk about it all the time. Let's stop admiring the problem. Let's start actually getting out and making changes and delivering on the vision that we have laid out as a community. And so I'm counting on you to help me and help the department. So thank you.
Thank you. Please join me in thanking this great leader here in our department.
Yeah, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome General Fredenberg back to the stage.
Well, thank you both for that great discussion. I mean, we covered a lot of ground there, but cloud, zero trust, but I think most importantly, the rollout of the DoD CIO new focus, Fulcrum, right? Rolled out right here at TechNet Cyber, looking to achieve an integrated, interoperable, and secure digital environment for the department. So that is exactly what we need. Thank you very much. In lieu of a speaker gift, we're going to present a donation on your behalf to the Fisher House. So thank you so much for being here, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
We can go.
Ladies and gentlemen, you can see the highlights from this afternoon's schedule on the screens on the side of the stage. But please consult your conference app for the full schedule of information. Now we're going to take a quick break in place as we prepare for the next session, which is going to be the Principal Cyber Advisors Panel, featuring representatives from the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force, moderated by Brigadier General Terrence Adams, the Deputy PCA to the Secretary of Defense. So please feel free to stand up, stretch your legs for a few minutes, and we'll begin the PCA panel shortly. Thank you very much.